Okay, so that was a pretty good announcement. Let's see what they have in store for us. So let's start off with the 9070 non-XT model. Let's start off with the specs. We have the compute units at 56, 16 gigabytes of GDDR6, a 252 megahertz boost clock, so it does seem that the leaks were correct. We have peak AI tops at 1165 and the board power at 220. So not bad. And then we also have just the actual performance as well. So it seems like these leaks were correct as well from before. The 9070 versus the 7900 GRE at 4K ultra settings on 30 games was 21% faster, and that is confirmed with no upscaling. So just as raster results, which is actually kind of impressive. Not too bad. And most important of all, it starts at $549 US. So a lot of you guys will be, hopefully happy with that. I think it's a pretty decent price point. What do you guys think of it? Let me know in the comments. They also just put in a slide for esport gaming, which I found kind of interesting, although the graphics card's not fully reliant in these games, but I thought it was an interesting statistic. They put 1,000 FPS for Valorant. I'm not sure what CPU they were using with the 9070, but interesting graph that they have here. Another one that I'm really looking forward to, and probably what you're looking forward to as well, is the XT model. So the specs on it, it has 64 compute units, so it seems right with the leaks from before, 16 gigabytes of GDDR6, 2970 megahertz boost clocks, again seems right with the leaks, 1557 peak AI tops, and 304 watts of board power. So not too bad at all. And for this one, I'm just going to tell you guys the price right now. So the price is $599 US, so $50 more than the non-XT model. So I think this is actually pretty decently price competitive with the 5070 Ti, and they actually mentioned it in their own presentation. They did a direct comparison with it, and they said that across 30 games, with raster results, so no upscaling confirmed, at 4K ultra settings, it is 2% slower than the 5070 Ti with the non-overclocked model. So this does make the 9070 XT $150 cheaper than the RTX 5070 Ti's MSRP, although that card you can't even find it for that price, but besides the point. Anyways, they're going to be using the MSRP to calculate the difference in price, and then they said it's 23% better in gaming performance per dollar across the average of 30 games. So it's quite interesting that they've done that there. Now they also have another interesting metric, and it is the OC model, the 340 watt model. So obviously this one will probably be a bit more expensive than $599, but it says it's 2% faster than the RTX 5070 Ti at 4K ultra performance gaming. And this is confirmed with no upscaling as well. So I find that quite interesting that it can do that. You can see the ray tracing performance is okay. It's not exactly at the 5070 Ti level. Again, we have to take this with a little bit of a grain of salt just because it is from AMD, so they'll do everything to make it in their best interests. But at the same time, we'll just wait for the reviews. And what's interesting as well is they confirm the release date is March 6th. So this card will be released on March 6th, confirmed, and I think that's a great day to release it, as the RTX 5070 I believe is coming out the day before, if not on that day. So I think that's good, and they also say there's wide availability from many AIBs, so Acer, Asus, ASRock, Gigabyte, PowerColor, Sapphire, XFX, Yeston, and I don't know what the last one is. I'm not sure what that is, but it's another board partner. So it also says here price subject to change. Through AIBs, they're going to change their pricing because there is no reference model. As we saw earlier in the presentation, it just said reference models are not for sale. Unfortunately, there is no reference model. But it does look good in terms of pricing and availability. Now, some other things I noted down from the presentation. We have improved hardware encoding with H.264, H.265, and AV1 for streaming, better overall ray trace and overall architecture on RDNA 4, They've also noted that FSR 4 is coming to many games. We've already known this from a previous article on VideoCardz earlier today, but they've also confirmed this. There's a number of games here. It seems like there's 35 on this list. I'll just read a few of them. The Altars, Bellwright, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Creatures of Ava, Dragon King, The Banished, and the list goes on. So unfortunately, this FSR 4 technology will only be available when an RX 9000 series card, so you won't be able to use it from a previous generation. So like a 7900 XTX won't be able to use it. A little bit disappointing because those cards will get a maximum of FSR 3.1. I would have loved to see what FSR 4 could do for those cards, but that's okay. At least we're getting a solid upgrade for the RX 9000 series. So Sapphire have also put out a listing on their website for the Nitro Plus version of the card, probably their highest end one, and the boost clock is 3060 megahertz, as we can see here. So if we just scroll down, so they've said here that it needs a 750 watt power supply, so thank God it's not the 900. I believe some of the XFX cards from the leaks said they might need. It will be using the 16-pin connector to the top mesh. So this is the one with the magnetic covering. It's the one I've been using in the thumbnail, so quite a beefy card, but they've managed to hide the connector away. This card is also using Honeywell PTM7950, the thermal interface material they call it here, instead of using traditional thermal paste. And I mean, that's pretty good for longevity, as you won't need to change it as often. So I think that's a pretty nice feature that they have here. And overall, I mean, the card is pretty much what got confirmed in the actual announcement, but it's going to be a pretty beefy card overall. And it's good to note as well that there will definitely be cards with the power connector being the normal 8-pin. So I mean, this card has the 16 one, but just in case you're worried about it, you don't have to get this model. There will be models available that will just use the normal 8-pins, which makes sense of some of them why they need a 900 watt power supply, because they're adding an extra 8-pin onto the model. So they have confirmed that as well in the announcement, which I found was good, and overall pretty happy with what's happening at the moment. Also, just to mention, in terms of pricing for New Zealand, so $549 at the moment for the 9070 is 980 New Zealand dollars, and 600 or 599 is 1,069 New Zealand dollars. So I think I mean, honestly, I don't see the cards coming in that cheap in New Zealand. There'll probably be another $200 on that, so maybe $1,269 we might see in New Zealand, so maybe like $650, well, probably about $700 maybe. And then the top of the line cards might be anywhere from $850 to $900. I'd probably say maybe $850 for 1,500 to 1,600 in New Zealand for these top of the line cards, but I think that's a decent discount over the 7900 XTX, or at least that was the special price of that card last year of what you could get it. So not too bad overall, and the fact that it does rival the RTX 5070 Ti is promising. Honestly, pretty happy overall with this announcement, pretty happy with pricing. Hopefully there will be availability, and we'll have to just wait for the reviewers to actually come out with all of the actual specs and information in terms of the AIB ones that they recommend and don't recommend, and which ones are a little bit better than the others. So we'll see what happens, and I hope this has been an interesting video that about sums it up. I hope you guys are interested in the RX 9070 XT and non-XT. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. But other than that, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys in the next video.